Hello humans, welcome back to the world's easiest Figma Sites Crash Course. Figma Sites is a new way of creating sites by Figma where you design your site and publish a complete responsive site on the internet. So the whole process of developing many simple sites is just gone now, and that just shows us how far we've come in the amazing world of technology. Let's get started with Figma Sites. So to get started, just open up Figma. Once you have that, you're going to go up to the top, click on create new site. It is currently in beta, but the way things are is insane, even the way they are. Alright, this is the templates model, so you can just find a couple of templates that people use all the time. For example, CV templates, personal item templates, and you have templates by category where you have event-based templates, for example, wedding websites, music event websites, basic landing pages, for example, a gym landing page, studio landing page, legal services landing page, and all other sorts of landing pages, personal, CV, portfolio, wedding, after school kind of sites. Then you have portfolio sites filtered only for portfolio purposes, and this spans a variety of categories. And then you also have the business segment of the templates inside of Figma. So with that said, let's get started. The way we're going to do this is we're going to take a look at all of the different tools that Figma Sites offers us, try to create something of our own, and then take a look at one of these templates, this one in the business category, which is a performance driven gym, and figure out how you can use those as well. So let's just get started. All right. As soon as you get started in Figma Sites, you're going to see a couple of options. The first is the web pages option. So obviously you need to have a first web page. This is going to be our home page. And then it has a couple of layers. So this is our desktop and this is our mobile layer. These are very, very important because sometimes you're using the site on desktop, which is a broad window, and then you're using it on a mobile, which is a tiny window, and so you need to have all of the content of your site fit into both of those and make it readable and understandable still. So that's the issue we deal with when we're creating multiple versions of the same site for different screen sizes. Making a site usable for different screen sizes is called responsiveness. With that said, let's get started. So right off the bat, I see a couple of new features that Figma Sites exclusively offers us. Let's start talking about them. This is our file window where we see our file. We can add a couple of web pages over here. This is going to be /page in the /page directory, so you can have it say /about, and the stuff that you need to put in your website.com/about is going to appear in the about page window. You can also have an insert section where you can insert new pages, navigation options, hero sections, feature sections, and embeds. You can also search for specific items. We'll take a look at this when we need to search for something. This is the Figma Make option where you can chat with AI or write code to make designs interactive. You can check out the complete Figma Make crash course that is already going to be out in the next couple of days. So subscribe to the channel if you want access to that. And if it's already out, you'll probably see it in the cards up above. The next option is the CMS option, which is also coming soon. It is not in beta currently. I believe this is going to come out in the upcoming weeks, and this is going to be the Figma CMS option where content management is simplified inside a Figma site. So that's going to be interesting as well. Then we also have the site settings option where you can check out the general status of the site, for example, whether it's published or not, what title of the site is, what description you provide it, the language, the ISO language which you're using for the site, the Google and Analytics ID if you want to have those enabled, which we're going to cover obviously at some point in the future. You also have your fav icons, social sharing images, custom code, anything that you want to include at the start or end of the head or body section, but all of this is a little bit complex and we're going to cover it as we need it. So let's just go back and talk about the tools that are available to us in the home section. So this is the first option that's new to us. This is the web page tool, and you can check out the region tools below it. So you can create a new section, you can create a new web page, or you can create a new frame. Now we are already aware of what sections and frames do. Sections separate a class of UIs. A frame is a standalone UI box, but a web page is basically this, and it holds the different versions of the same exact site. So this is the desktop version, this is the mobile version, but a web page can also hold other versions. You can also add the tablet version over here, which is also going to be held in a container called web page, and it's going to be for specific screen sizes. And let's just talk about specific screen sizes for a moment. When you measure the space that is available on any web browser to use any of your sites, you take a look at the width that is available to your browser. So that's the horizontal thing. And the reason we don't measure height is because some sites will scroll, some sites won't scroll. Sometimes sites will scroll for a really long amount of time, so there's a lot of content, but basically vertical scrolling is always changing with sites. That always happens. But horizontal width is very, very constant for whatever device you're using. So you can scroll as long as you want. Vertically, horizontally, you have a certain height in your device. For desktops, this width is almost always equal to or over 1280 pixels. Tablets have a width that is somewhat limited from 800 to 1279 pixels, and mobile devices will have 799 or lower viewport width. The smallest mobiles I believe in circulation right now are 360 pixels wide, so this is basically a fancy way of saying 799 to 360. So a web page is a way with which we're going to handle the fact that all of these devices and all of these users have different widths on their devices, and yet we're allowing the content to fit into the space that is present over here. Again, more on that later. The next options that are available to us are embed options. Embed is very, very useful when you're trying to enter content from another site into your web page or enter another web page into your own web page. Embed is an option you use to enter another web page, another site, another piece of content from somewhere else on the internet inside of your site. And it's not just copying and pasting stuff, it's actively linking stuff. So there is basically a window on your page with which you can link it to the content that was present in another site. Make is coming soon, so we'll talk about Make when that happens. You can have an embed window over here. So in the first page you can have an embed that basically goes to, let's just do a google.com. This probably won't work for a variety of reasons, but for this example, let's assume there is some content on this site that is basically available on our site, and if the actual site from where this is coming updates it, then this content is going to be updated as well. If you want to reduce the width for this specific screen size, you can do that. This content is going to be the same, and then you can customize the amount of spacing all of these devices take on their own. So this is the way you're going to sort of have to position all of your different elements on all the three screen sizes. Then you have your shape tools: rectangle, line, arrow, circle, polygon, star. We've already used all of them a bunch of times before. We've talked about all of them in detail in the Figma design mode crash course, which you can just find uplinked in the cards. It's also called Figma Crash Course for simplicity. And so if you enter a rectangle on one of these screens, all of these screens are going to have it, and you're going to make sure that a responsive amount of space is being taken by all of them. And here's where the fun part kicks in. Sometimes when you need to make your content fit a long amount of space, so let's just say you had a whole line of text going over here. Sometimes when you have a really long amount of text over here, it might not fit completely on the tablet. So you might want to give the tablet 2 lines so that the overflowing text can basically fit in. And a similar thing is going to happen for mobile screens as well. So this is the way things are going to look on mobile. Then you have your standard pen tools. These are your creation tools: pen and pencil. You can create something if you want to, and we've seen this a bunch of times before. You can import an image, import text, add comments, or do your standard actions. All of these are AI tools of Figma, which are covered in the complete Figma AI tools video, which is probably linked up here in the cards, and it's coming out in the next couple of days if you're watching this on the day of the premiere. But if you're watching this in the future, it's probably already out, linked up here in the cards of this video. So with that said, this is the basic layout of Figma sites. Again, very, very simple stuff, nothing too complicated, and a similar thing is sort of going to carry on in the about section as well. Now that we've seen all of the tools that Figma Sites offers us, let's get an actual template. So I'm just going to select all of this content, delete this page, delete all of this stuff over here. We need to select a new home page before we delete this one. So let's just get our templates over here. All right, so we talked about all of the different features in the toolbars of Figma Sites. Now let's talk about the insert elements that are available in Figma Sites and how we can use them to create better sites. Let's just go to desktop and we're going to start deleting all of these elements. Notice that all of these are linked together, so if you delete it on one of them, it's just going to go ahead and delete it on all of them. So you have to make sure the content can take up different amounts of spacing and styling, but it has to remain the same across all the screen sizes. That's one of the prerequisites of having a site be responsive, working across all screen sizes. You can get insert blocks or you can get insert libraries. We don't have libraries yet, but let's just talk about blocks first because they are far more important. All right, the first option is to add pages. Let's add a simple page. You can add any of these pages, honestly. Let's add this one. This looks quite nice, and this is a landing page device frame. Let's talk about what this does. This is a very, very simple landing page, and it has your basic landing pagey things. For example, a hero section, a about section, a testimonial section, and it also has an image gallery in the middle, and then it also has a really nice footer. With that said, let's assume I want to change the navigation over here. So right now it doesn't really have any specific navigation section. Let's assume I want to change the navigation over here. So I'm just going to place this on the top, and then every single other instance of this device is just going to have a responsive version of it present over here. Let's say I'm not happy with the way the footer is right now. I can just go over here and enter this footer right here, and it's just going to change it, and then I can just delete all of these other elements that I'm not happy with. So I'm not happy with this one, I'm not happy with this either. I'm just going to get rid of all of these. The only thing I need is this footer, which I just imported from the navigation section. This is the standard modern footer, so I'm really happy that Figma has given us this as a template now. We also have a navigation which we just now imported. Let's say this hero section looks really, really simple and bland to me, and I want to change that. Now I can go over here and give it this really nice butterfly hero section. I'm just going to get rid of this one because no one needs it. And now you can just change this image around to be whatever you want it to be. You can change your text to say a bolder headline, and whatever you change over here is going to be updated automatically on all of these instances. The only thing that you can change in a tablet or a mobile version as opposed to a desktop version is you can reduce the font size, let's say for tablets, if you feel like that needs to be done just to adjust the styling and stuff, and that's not copying over to the mobile or the desktop section. So the content always is similar in desktop, tablet and mobiles, but the styling can change. You can also have features sections. So this is the current features section. Let's say I'm not happy with this, I want to change it. I can automatically get one of these guys, place them right here, and then I can keep this section if I'm happy with it. I am currently happy with it. This seems like a good gallery section, this seems like a features section, but in most standard sites you want to have a feature section before you have a gallery section, because gallery section is a description of the things that already are. Features describes what is going on. I want the feature section to be before gallery, so I'm just going to select the features section which we just now imported, add this over here, and with that we've automatically updated the way these things are working. Figma is using grids here. Auto layouts recently got grids. There's a complete video coming out on that as well, so just make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you've clicked on the notifications button. Auto layout is now having grids, which is why this kind of thing going from this to this is actually very possible. You can change these contents, but the point today is we're going to take a look at all of the different ways you can make your job easier. The next section that we want to talk about is the testimonial section. Let's say I'm not happy with the way this one looks. I can just get rid of it, and then I can get a different testimonial section because this is already offering us a lot of different options. I can add pricing sections and all of these simple things that we've been adding for time immemorial, and this is a simple way of doing it. You can also embed Google Maps, YouTube embeds, or any of these other options, and you can choose where this embed goes. So it can go in the middle, it can go at the top, it can go in the bottom, at any place you would find it useful. Let's say I want to have a Google Map embed in the footer just so we are able to clarify where this business is located. You can just do that. If your content starts to overflow, you're going to make sure the Google Map embed is small enough to accommodate everything, and also the font sizes need to be made smaller so that everything can just fit together really nice and easy. And for mobiles, this is already working quite nicely, so I'm not going to change that. You can also have any other site or a YouTube video embedded right here, and that process is going to go quite similarly to the Google Maps embeds. And with this way of doing things, you can basically have any site you want ready within minutes, because all of the different content sections that we were using over and over again, creating over and over again, are now simplified using Figma Sites. Alright, let's now go to the template that we saw in the beginning of this video and try to see how we can change templates, work with templates to make our job even quicker and even easier. Alright, before we go away, let's also talk about what happens if this is not the homepage I want to have. This is the homepage I want to have. You can just go over here to the top, right click on these and click on set as homepage, and then this is going to be home and this is going to be a /page, and then you can just directly delete it, get rid of it. Just click on this whole section and click on delete, and now we have our really simple homepage. Alright, let's now create another Figma Sites file and take a look at one of the templates that we saw earlier in the video, which was in the business section. The performance driven gym template. It has a couple of different views, and this is Figma clarifying what those views looks like. You can preview this in your browser, or you can just start using this template right here. I'm just going to start with it right here, right now. And the very first thing you see on these templates is the styles. So this is the different styles that are available inside of this template. This is going to be the header style. This is going to be all of the other text styles. Then you have your colors, then you have your components. If you're not comfortable with the weird red that you're having, this is coming due to an auto layout grid, so you can just get rid of the grid to be able to see what's going on. These are all of the different elements and the styling system of this actual template. And then you see the actual homepage. So this is our very first homepage of our entire site. The exact same content is present over here at the desktop section, at the tablet section, and at the mobile section. This isn't something you get overwhelmed by. All of this is the exact same content repeated 3 different times to fit 3 different screen sizes. Then you have an about section, which is almost a similar section fitting into the same exact patterns, but is very, very usable for the about section of this site. And then you finally have a reserve section with which you can reserve your actual sessions, and this is also fitting into the exact same theme. 3 different web pages are on the same exact site. Now let's go to publish the site. You're going to go over to the top and click on publish, and then change the site's title. Let's call it a gym website, and then directly publish it. And now we have an actual site. So you can just click on this URL and go and see your actual Figma site. This is what that site looks like. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. You've published your very, very first site with Figma Sites. This is what our homepage looks like. You also have the ability to click on any of these links. You can click on the about section and it's going to take you to the about page right here on this site. This is what our about section looks like. Super simple, super useful, super duper nice. And then you also have the reserve your spots button with which you can reserve your position inside of the classes. This is our book a session reserve section, which we just made, which was the 3rd page. You can change any of these contents, and with that, this is the simplest way of publishing your very, very first site inside of Figma Sites. This has been the world's easiest Figma Sites Crash Course. I hope you liked it. There are complete videos on making sites, on making templates, on making a bunch of super cool things inside of Figma Sites coming up right here on this channel. So just make sure to click subscribe and click on the bell icon to receive all of the notifications. I hope you liked this video. I hope you learned something. I will see you in the next one. Until then, good night.